Hey, it's Andrew Huang. I've seen a lot of beginner music projects in my time. Obviously, I used to be a beginner myself. Now that I have an audience, a lot of people send me stuff, and I also have an online course where I'm hearing beginners do their thing. So I thought it would be helpful if I made this video about the top 5 things that I've noticed don't show up in beginner music productions, even though they are generally important to songs of almost any genre. So let's hop right in. I'm going to demonstrate everything with my song Julian. On and off again, on and off again, on and off again. I dropped this a few months ago featuring Tom McGovern and Gabby Rose. Item number 1 is groove percussion. A lot of beginners will get the basics of beats down. They'll be able to make their patterns the way they want. They'll even do some drum fills. But I find this element of groove and kind of background percussion is often missing. And that might be as simple as a tambourine or a shaker. It could be something like a clave that happens more sparsely over a beat. So you hear all of this stuff. It's a bunch of nice light percussion. In this case, I'm using Kolev Grand's Ting plugin. If I play the beat without this, it's just a lot more empty, a lot less groovy. So yeah, I see a lot of projects where it's kick, snare, hi-hat, crash cymbal. Add more percussion. Number 2 is ear candy. Ear candy is something that I've done a video on before, so I won't go into as much detail, but I will say that video was focused on ear candy where it's meant to fill space in an attention-grabbing way. However, I want to talk about softer, subtler ear candy. This is sort of the next level of it where the ear candy is there in a supporting role. It's not meant to be the focus. It's registered a little more subconsciously. I think my favorite example of this from this song is this little thing that I did after the first line of lyrics. This little sound. It's a basic chord, I'm using massive, it's being arpeggiated. With everything off, it sounded like this. And then I've never done this before, I just kind of figured it out while I was trying to figure out this super subtle ear candy. I put it through 2 pretty wet reverbs. Their settings are ever so slightly different, and then I'm also extremely filtering and RC20 for a little bit of vintage vibe. All of this in my project is all ear candy. Some of it's sounds that I made, some of it's samples off of Splice. Let's play just the effects bus. So it's stuff like that, swells, sparkles, but in this song, you're really not paying attention to that stuff. It adds to the momentum, but at the time that these are playing, I'll play you the track in a second, you're paying attention to like the vocal, the guitar, the drums. All along the line. On and off again, trying to pretend like you never left me. But if I take those ear candy elements out, all along the on and off again, trying to pretend like you never left me. It's just a lot more basic and a little flatter. And this portion of the song segues perfectly into my 3rd item, which is transitions. As you can see and hear, a lot of this ear candy stuff happens around transitional points in the song. When you're moving from one section to another, you often want to overemphasize, or it feels like you're overemphasizing that change. Because music is dramatic and you really have to like hammer it home to your listeners. So in beginner productions, I'll see like maybe someone will do a drum fill or one new instrument will come in at the chorus. But it's really good to think about how much contrast you can create in those moments where sections are changing. Almost every instrument can be doing something different. They can be building up, they can be cutting out, more layers can be added on like I showed with this ear candy. And then of course it's also fun to do things with effects. So like on this lead vocal, I've got the last line echoing out and getting filtered and compressed. I'm using Transit, which is my own plugin, and it makes it really easy and fast to do this kind of stuff. But of course, you can use any filter, any delay, any compressor or OTT and automate their parameters to get this kind of a result. All along the line. And as you can hear, all that building up completely cuts off the moment we hit the next section. And that's something that's worth being very deliberate about whether your transitional elements hang over to the next section or stop completely. They might stop right on the downbeat. They might stop a little bit before. They might stop on the first snare after. Play with that though, because all of it really makes a difference. And the type of transition you want, is going to be different depending on the needs of your song. So yeah, just one example, but really get in there, play around. You can add new sounds to your project, or you can mess with the material that you already have and just make your transitions special. Tip number 4 is to have multiple approaches when you're doing vocal harmonies. It's pretty common to add just a third or a fifth on top or below and then sing the exact same thing as the lead vocal. But play around with having some layers that only come in on certain lines or certain words, some parts that maybe hang on a single note while others could move around with a lot more range. And then it can also be really effective to get a little fancy and kind of come up with an additional part that doesn't quite lock into the same rhythm as the leads. So I love this moment in Julian where Tom came up with this thing that we sang together.
Julian, back to you. Julian, back to you. I keep coming back to you again.
Tom's idea was to have these harmonies not sing all the words of the line, and also some of them came in earlier in a completely different rhythm, and then the last note gets held out longer over the rest of the line.
Julian, back to you. I keep coming back to you again.
And you can hear there as well, while some of the notes are holding, others are still moving. It's very dynamic. There are so many vocals in the project. From here to the bottom is all vocals. And you can see we're trying lots of different stuff here. There are things that only come in one time for the whole song. There are things that are different from section to section, even when it's the same section, like each of our choruses are different. This is a really key way to keep things interesting for your listener. And it segues perfectly into my final tip of the day. Every section should be different. Now that computers are such a part of music production, it's so easy to just copy and paste. And I see that happen in a lot of beginner productions. You've got your verse and your chorus. Well, that means you also have your second verse and second chorus, right? To some extent, yes, but it's really important to keep things varying. Even if it's stuff that the listener's not necessarily paying attention to, it will translate to the track just having more life to it and more replay value. As one example, this harmony.
When we talk again, it's like we never stopped and I know already.
That's only there once in the song. It accents just one line of the second chorus. In the first chorus, that line is not harmonized. And in the third chorus, what did we do?
When we talk again, it's like we never stopped and I know already.
Right, on the third chorus, we did a dropout on the first half, so it's actually completely different. There's no drums there, other instrumentation has changed. Let me play you all 3 instances of this part of the chorus as an example of what I'm talking about switching up your sections.
When we talk again, it's like we never stopped and I know already that I'll never let you go. Whoa. When we talk again, it's like we never stopped and I know already that I'll never let you go. Whoa. When we talk again, it's like we never stopped and I know already that I'll never let you go. Whoa.
So yeah, there's lots of ways to vary your sections, obviously changing up the instrumentation, whether it's a little or a lot. You can do little variations on what instruments are playing, like the drums should do different fills. Maybe the guitar plays with more energy, more notes, louder. Different vocal ad-libs help. We talked about having different kinds of harmonies in there. Oh, bass fills. The bass line can be doing different stuff to keep the attention up. So each of these fills coming out of the chorus is a little bit different. Though I guess at this point, it's also worth mentioning you should be deliberate about which things are varied and which things are repeated, because there are those little hook things that maybe the audience would expect to be the exact same every time. It's just like they really want to hear it again. They want to be able to sing along with it. It's not bad to repeat things either, but music and music production is all about finding that balance of like what is predictable and unpredictable, what is expected and anticipated, and what is surprising. If you have any other tips to add to this, I'd love to hear. Leave a comment, and of course, please stream Julian if you enjoyed this song. It's out everywhere. Link is in the description. See you next time. Bye.
On and off again, on and